Nice. Welcome, Uncle Tony Fernandez.
Oh, it's so nice to meet you, Mr. Kudzie. Yes, finally. After, so much phone calls in the last 1 week or so.
Yes.
It's great to be here, and I'm actually very proud of the great work you're doing.
Thank you,
and the
sir.
fantastic platform.
Tell us more about the books.
Well, I started writing at the age of 9. Writing has been a passion of mine for a very, very long time, and this was something my mother noticed when I was very young. I write about love, I write about human relationships, I write about bringing people together, I write about nostalgia and Africans, how they can make the world a better place. And so to date I've published 2 books. The first is called The Beauty in the Dark, which is a collection of poems about Africa. It reminds us every day of our journey as people, and the kind of relationships we have with people around the world. I also have a book of Proverbs, which is actually a book of Proverbs on positive thinking for young people, because as a motivational speaker, I believe that the children are the future. And we need to capture their mind and set it for the best moments to come in life.
What sort of a name would you give to your genre, your writing style?
Well, I wouldn't really give it a name because it cuts through so many categories, from human relationships, from love, from people working together, for us as Africans, knowing what our journey is all about on earth, and setting an example for a better tomorrow. So I like to see myself cutting through areas which are positive. I see myself as a messenger, so I write to set example for the young ones and also the adults, because there's so much out there we need to do to make a difference to people.
I know, as an author, you are ever reading. Who is your favorite writer, or what's your favorite book?
That's really a tough one. I think I'll have to go back to my university days when I studied English at University of Lagos, Nigeria, and the first time I came across The Famished Road, written by Ben Okri, who he actually won the Booker Prize in the UK. And it's a book about Africans' journey. It has a lot of spiritual metaphors, and the style of writing is just beautiful. It just captures colorful flowers and poetry in words, and yeah, it's a novel. There are loads and loads of writers that I consider to myself an inspiration, but I think the most important thing is that we need to see ourselves as our own inspirations and our own role models to set that pace. So there's nothing as beautiful as writing like yourself, because it's your app.
I know some people have been trying to write books and they cannot come up with one. What would you say is the hardest part when you're writing a book?
I think sometimes it varies from people to people, because you have people who get inspired so easily, and once they get inspired, the words just flow from their heart. And then you have another school of people who they need to have a conscious effort to put those pens in words. So it's good to have an idea of what you're going to write about, how you're going to write it, and why you're writing it in the first place. Because writers are messengers of truth. If you're a writer, you have a message to send out to the world. If you're a performing artist, you also have a message to send out to the world through your music. And if you're a motivational speaker, you have your story to share with the world too. So it's all about following your heart and speaking from the content of what's inside there. With regards to my radio show also, it's also a platform where I bring people, African role models, who've had stories. And I tell you, the last 1 year, I've been amazed at the kind of people who've come on the show. I've had people who've been sexually abused. I've had people who've been into fraud. But the most important thing about all these people is that they had an experience, and then they changed their ways, and then they wanted to share it with the world. So it just goes to show that all good things in life are possible. And also as a mentor, I like to tell my young boys and young girls all the time, I have mentees around the world, that all good things in life are possible. As long as you put your mind to it, and as long as you're true to your heart.
You definitely get it. How do you choose your guests on the radio show?
Well, just a few minutes ago we were talking about Facebook. And, I think we have a similar kind of profiling way, because sometimes I'm just hunting in the background in Facebook and I come across people and I think to myself, wow, this person sounds fascinating, what's he doing? And you won't believe it, Kujo. In 2 years I've interviewed over 120 guests. 70% of the guests I've interviewed, I met them on the very first day they came to my show. So it also goes to show how the power of Facebook can go a very, very long way.
All good things in life are possible. It is Zig Ziglar who made me to understand that at times life will give you some lemon, but when it gives you lemons, don't throw them away, don't cry foul. You can either make lemonade or marmalade. You are watching your show, my show, our show, the Digging Deep Show.